One of the things that I started noticing ever since the pandemic started ending or during the pandemic is that much more of people around the world, or more specifically Americans, started to give up on the workforce. A lot of them due to the fact that a lot of these mandates have drove them to be isolated, and they felt as if they didn't comply with the pandemic, that it would give them much more freedom to be at home with their families and loved ones and to be able to earn income in a different way. These days is a different story because usually I'm hearing a lot and I'm seeing a lot that a lot more individuals are taking it upon themselves to endorse themselves in side hustles and look for other means of making income instead of doing the traditional 9 to 5 or being able to be on someone's clock, a docket, and stuff like that in order to get paid. Now, the funny thing about it is we also have to look at the workforce itself. See, I would have figured that the workforce is suffering more than anything if it's not really gaining anything, because less people working means less people at your company means less productivity. But so far, it seems as if someone like Tim Gurner is actually trying to turn that into the fact that this is a great opportunity for employers, as to make it seem as if, like, if there are less employees at a particular business or there's less people who want to work, it'll make them want to work. And so they would have to toy down their arrogance and, become a little bit more humble, needing an employer to hire them so that they continue to work and bring more productivity to the country, the world, whatever. Let's check it out. This is Tim Gurner. He's going to be giving his opinion about the whole entire aspect. And I thought this was a pretty cool conversation to have. So, Pete.
I think the problem that we've had is that we have people decided they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity. Tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. They have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change.
Now, the funny thing about it is, before he begins, a lot more jobs that started to come up in the economy seem to be like whatever jobs, especially with the threat of automation, AI, and, the replacement of a lot of things. Like, for instance, on my personal day-to-days, like if I go to certain stores to shop, usually how they have self-checkout lanes instead of having the cashiers. And now they only have a couple of cashiers there, but you always get this overwhelming threat that those cashiers are not going to exist anymore. More so than not, you're just going to see people you're going to be seeing employees guide customers to the self-checkout lanes. And what really is the point of that, to be honest? Because people can pretty much go themselves. And the thing about it is that usually more times than not, when it comes to the self-checkout, usually you're just seeing the same employees on their phones, just looking up time and time again, just to check if there's any more people online and what self-checkout lanes is available. And that's why I think that, especially in this type of economy, the bad thing about this less employment rate or these jobs that's given at this point are usually jobs that you're getting paid not to really do anything. Pretty much toggle around and try to look for something to do instead of actually doing something productive. Is going to be much more of a skill that you can apply yourself to. And so you see it right here. He's going to be saying we need to see unemployment rise. But my thing is, why would you want to see unemployment rise? Let's peep.
We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40–50% in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean, there's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them, as opposed to the other way around.
And the funny thing about it is, in my view, I actually would disagree with his statement that, yes, the trade-off is like this. An employee needs a job, so they decide to work for you, and the employee takes your application, sees if you're a good fit, and then therefore they decide to hire you too. I mean, honestly, in opinion, it's a 50-50 trade-off. Hey, look, listen, I need to make money for myself because of point A to Z. usually about supporting myself, supporting my family, being able to pay rent, pay my bills, pay for my vacation, and all these different things. And on the opposite spectrum, we need employees in order to increase the productivity for the things that we're selling or the services that we're giving to such and such party. I remember all these different things about certain companies that went to like something like the Boston Consultant Group, like B2B, B2C, all those funny things that they had in there for like categories of like what businesses operate and what type of function. But the thing about it is, with something like this, it's just kind of like weird to hear him say that, because it's an even trade-off. But I think more people of today is getting sick and tired of going to a job that does not appreciate them, and that these jobs honor just the fact that matter that they are a number and not a person, and just another name on a docket, instead of understanding that they are people too, that there should be, encouragement in the companies, as well as making the employee feel comfortable, and not feeling that every time they go to work every day, they have to be stressed out, or they don't get enough time to do exactly the things that they want to do, or the proper breaks that they're getting. That here in America, one of the different things that I disagree with is how they set up breaks, about how usually conspiring, if it's 8 hours, you're only getting usually an hour break, and probably maybe even 2 15s. And that some employees will compact the hour and 15 minutes, or usually just the hour, 45 and 15-minute breaks into that hour, and then work the whole entire schedule the next day. And when it's less than 8 hours, usually they're only getting a 15-minute break, or at most a 30. And that is not good practices for these work environments. And also, I will say this, that they should take notes out of different countries' notebooks about what they do for break time, and allowing their employees to take naps, or allowing their employees to take a break, to have a mental space, to go to a spa, and all these different things. Like I've seen it in Japan, they do that. But, pressuring employees to do their best work, and you're not offering any encouragement, obviously is telling them like, look, listen, this is not the place to be. And if they've gone over that over and over and over again from different jobs, they burn out. So they're just like, it's no point in being here. And then it gives into the fact that they have a lot of these new terms, these TikTok challenges that related into the real life, such as quiet quitting. And then and then these jobs directly say quiet firing, and just all these tit for tat games, where it creates a very toxic environment for people who need to basically depend on something to get them by each day. It's crazy.
So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment to get that to some sort of normality. And we're seeing it. I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there is definitely massive layoffs going off. People might not be talking about it, but people are definitely laying people off, and we're starting to see less arrogance in the employment market, and that has to continue, because that will cascade across the cost balance.
And one thing that he's pretty much forgetting a lot of times in these conversations is the layoffs is also caused by unfair wages, and a lot of the times that a lot of these employees are not getting paid what they're supposed to. I mean, it's pretty sad. If you think about even SAF, I guess the company that's supposed to be related to the Actors Guild, the president being the famous Fran Drescher, and being involved with the Actors Guild and stuff like that, about how these people who's doing a lot of voice work and doing a lot of things that's related to the Hollywood limelight, they're getting laid off so many times. And there's so many, they're going on strike, and they're not getting paid what they're supposed to be paid. And then like one of the actors I seen on a recent World Star Hip Hop video had basically said that he was getting cents for checks. How does that look like when you put yourself out there for years on end, and you decide to put yourself into a craft that you love, in a career that you love, and you get paid crap for it? And especially when things like, these wages or these pay cuts, or a lot of different things, the unions, all these different things, they don't get paid properly. Or if you think about the incidents that happened with Amazon, how many times that Amazon has fulfilled themselves in doing unlawful practices, or doing unfair or unethical practices to their employees. Even I'm seeing recently places like McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts start having people going on strike because they're working 20-hour work days and stuff like that. And nobody's able to do whatever they want in these strict policies that's put into a lot of these companies. My thing is, at the end of the day, humans need to be treated as humans, not work machines. So by directly saying this should be one of the sort of things where they need to increase unemployment, it's only going to cause a disaster. In my belief system, and why unemployment is one of these sort of things that the government is trying to do, also has to deal with the fact of the matter they want people to be reliant on the government. We got that beta test run when the pandemic began, when a lot of people lost their jobs because these companies was on fire because they didn't know what to do during the pandemic and trying to find all these different things in order for people to work, or how they're going to restructure their company from the pandemic. And what happened? You got a UBI, a universe-based income. And everybody basically was getting them stimulus checks and all those different things. But what was that telling you? That basically the government is telling you to rely on them. And that's what you can expect in the future. But otherwise than that, give me your thoughts in the comment section. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Peace.